Open a cabinet in your kitchen right now and count the things inside it that you have to keep buying. The wipes, the mop pads, the paper towels, the bag of coffee pods, the box of dryer sheets, and every single one of them was designed to trap you in a subscription you didn't ask for. Japanese households do not have this issue, and it is one of the main reasons the average Japanese family ends up saving about 2 to 3 times what the average American family saves on the exact same paycheck. They stopped buying these wasteful, disposable products a long time ago and replaced them with tools that only ever have to be bought one single time, that usually do the job better than the disposable version anyway. We're going to walk through 12 household items Americans waste money on every month, and you most likely have at least 5 of them in your house. The first one on the list is sitting in your utility closet right now. Number 3 is one of the most expensive small subscriptions in the entire country. And the last one reveals a solution that could save you hundreds each year. Number 1 is the Swiffer leaning against the wall in your utility closet and the half-empty box of refill pads on the shelf above it. You bought the handle for around $15 4 years ago because the commercial made it look fast and clean and easy, and the pads have been landing in your grocery order every few weeks ever since. There are wet pads and dry pads and heavy-duty pads for the kitchen, and there is a pack of 40 from Costco that seems like a bargain until you realize you were back at Costco for another one 6 weeks later. The device sitting on your closet floor was never the actual product, because the pad is where the real money lives, and the handle was priced cheaply for the same reason a razor company gives you the handle for free. A Japanese household tends to handle the same job with a reusable floor wiper fitted with a small washable cloth called a zoken, which is used, wrung out, and laundered with the rest of the wash, and kept in the cupboard for years. The idea underneath it is called soji, which treats cleaning the floor as ordinary maintenance of the home rather than as a chore that has to be equipped for. The refill pad is what your household has been buying every month since the day you brought the handle home. And the only thing to be careful about is giving the cloth somewhere to dry between uses so it does not sit balled up and start to smell. The next one is the shelf above your washing machine and the row of scented products lined up along it. There is the bounce box, the Downy Unstoppables bottle with the little plastic scoop inside the cap, the Gain beads next to that, and a second bottle of a different scent that you bought when the first one started to feel boring. Every load takes a sheet or a scoop or both, and the product itself is designed to disappear during the wash so that you have to buy another box before the season is out. The average American household spends somewhere between $100 and $200 a year on laundry fragrance products, and over 10 years, that number lands closer to $2,000 on something that is engineered to vanish before the clothes even leave the machine. A Japanese laundry routine tends to rely on a permanent drying rack called a monohoshi, along with the practice of airing clothes in sunlight, and the older idea running underneath the whole thing is that a fresh smell in your laundry is the result of air and light rather than a fragrance sprayed onto the fibers. Your clothes were coming out clean the whole time, and the smell you were paying for was on top of the clean, which is why the most expensive part of your laundry routine has always been the product that disappears before the wash cycle even finishes. If you live in an apartment without a balcony, a folding indoor rack does the same job for around $20 and lasts for a decade. The third one is plugged into the outlet in your hallway, and there is another one in the guest bathroom, and a third behind the couch in the living room, and every one of them is a little Glade or Airwick unit glowing faintly against the wall. You installed the plastic unit years ago because the first refill came in the box, and the refills have been arriving in 2 packs every couple of months ever since. The refill cartridge is where the money is, and the plastic unit was only the door that got you into the room. There is a second layer to this one that most households miss, which is that the plug-in does not remove the underlying source of any smell in the house, so the room only smells fresh while the cartridge is releasing fragrance, and the moment it runs out, the underlying smell is right back in the room where it started. A Japanese home tends to solve the same problem by taking the trash out every single day, leaving shoes at the door, opening the windows every morning to air the rooms, and using small sachets of activated bamboo charcoal called takesumi, which absorbs smells and can be recharged in sunlight and reused for months. The concept underneath it is called kuki, which is the cultural care taken over the air inside a room. You did not buy an air freshener when you plugged that unit into the wall, because what you actually signed up for was a monthly subscription to cover up a smell you could just remove yourself. The only thing to know before you switch is that heavy sources like pets, damp, or cooking need to be dealt with first, because the charcoal is there to handle the everyday air in the room, not to fix an underlying problem. Small changes like this one are the reason a Japanese family ends up saving thousands of dollars over the years without ever really feeling like they went without. So if organizing your house and saving money is important to you, I've put together every single one of these Japanese habits into a book over at thejapanesemethod.com, so scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description and start cutting down on your bills right away. The next one is under your kitchen sink, in the cleaning caddy where the Swiffer duster handle is sticking out and the plastic bag of fluffy replacement heads is sitting right next to it. The handle was cheap because the refill heads were the actual product, and the refills come in packs of 6 that seem to disappear inside of a month, even though each head is only used for about 15 minutes of actual dusting before it goes into the trash. The manufacturer designed the fitting so that only their branded refills work with your handle, which is how you end up captive to one brand for as long as the tool sits in your house. A Japanese home tends to solve the same job with a hitaki, which is a hand-tied duster of cloth strips or feathers on a bamboo pole, and it is shaken out at an open window after use, washed occasionally, and kept for a generation. The refill bag in your caddy has been costing your household a small fortune over the years because the handle was the hook and the refill packs were the line that kept your household paying. And the only thing to know about a hitaki is that it redistributes dust rather than trapping it, so it works best with an open window nearby or a quick vacuum right after. The next one is the coffee machine on your counter, along with the pod carousel next to it, the drawer of backup pods behind it, and the recycling bin at the end of the counter that is mostly full of used K-cups by the end of every week. You bought the Keurig on Black Friday for around $80, and the variety pack came with it, and the seasonal flavors have been arriving ever since. A single pod holds about 7 grams of coffee and costs somewhere between 50 cents and $1, which works out to around $40 or $50 a pound for the coffee inside them, several times the price of the exact same coffee sold in a bag on the shelf 10 feet away. The machine on your counter was a Trojan horse because it was priced low on purpose, so that the only coffee it will accept for the rest of its life is the coffee its manufacturer profits from. A Japanese kitchen tends to make coffee with a ceramic dripper, often a Hario V60 developed and manufactured in Japan, along with a permanent metal filter or a cloth Nell drip that lasts for years. The ritual is slower by about 2 minutes a cup, which is either the deal breaker or the whole point, depending on the household. And the honest math is that the machine on your counter was the cheapest part of every cup of coffee you have made in it since the day you plugged it in. Number 6 is the junk drawer in the kitchen, and the little cardboard sleeve of Duracell sitting inside it, along with a pack of AAAs, a 9-volt you picked up when the smoke alarm chirped at 3 in the morning, and half a dozen loose batteries that got thrown in during previous rearrangements. Every remote in the house runs on them, along with the game controllers, the wall clock, the bathroom scale, the kids' toys, the string lights on the porch, the wireless keyboard, and the flashlight in the earthquake kit. Every single one of those batteries eventually goes dead, and the whole battery ends up in the trash along with all the metal and chemistry inside it that was still perfectly good, because the charge inside the battery ran out and the household treats the charge as inseparable from the object holding it. Over a decade, a family of 4 spends somewhere between $600 and $1,000 on disposable batteries for the various small devices around the house, and every single one of those batteries could have been recharged instead. A Japanese household tends to rely on rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries, the most respected of which are the Panasonic Eneloop cells developed and made in Japan, along with a single charger that lives in a kitchen drawer for a decade and handles every AA and AA in the entire house. The battery did not die when the remote stopped working because only the charge ran out, and everything else in the battery was fine. Smoke alarms and long-term emergency devices are the one place where disposable lithium still makes sense because of the shelf life. But for everything else in the house, one charger pays for itself inside the first year. The next one is on the shelf in your shower and in the bathroom drawer next to it. It is the Gillette Fusion handle you got in the starter kit years ago, along with the little plastic clamshell of 4-blade cartridges that cost around $20 a pack. Every cartridge is smaller than a Post-it note, and every one of them is priced like a small piece of jewelry, which makes the razor industry the single clearest example of this exact business model at work anywhere in the American household. The handle was the invitation, because the proprietary fitting on the top of it means the only blades that will ever attach to your razor are the blades the manufacturer makes. And walking away from the brand means buying a new handle from a different brand and paying the same trap over again. A Japanese approach to the same job uses a metal safety razor handle with standard double-edged blades, and the feather blade, made in Osaka, is widely considered one of the sharpest wet shaving blades in the world. One handle lasts a lifetime, and 100 blades cost about the same as one pack of 4 cartridges from the drugstore. The cost per shave falls to a few cents, and the shave itself is closer and cleaner. A safety razor has a small learning curve during the first week because it requires paying attention to the angle in a way that a cartridge razor never did, but the entire subscription ends the moment you switch the handle. The next one is the drawer next to your fridge and the box of Ziploc sandwich bags inside it, along with the snack bags, the slider bags, the fold-top bags for the kids' lunches, and the roll of plastic wrap and the tinfoil on the shelf above them. A box of 100 bags lasts about 3 weeks in a household with 2 kids packing lunches, and the sandwich bag itself is manufactured, shipped, purchased, and used for around 4 hours before it is thrown in the trash. An average household spends somewhere between $100 and $250 a year on disposable food storage bags and wraps. And over a decade, the number lands close to $2,000 for a product that was in your kitchen for a total of about a day. A Japanese household tends to carry lunch in a stainless steel or lacquered bento box with internal dividers, and the whole box is often tied and carried in a cloth called a furoshiki. A bento box is a lifetime object, and it is common for a Japanese adult to still own the same one from childhood. Your sandwich bag was in your kitchen for 4 hours and will remain in a landfill for 4 centuries, and the only real trade-off is that a bento box needs washing at the end of the day, which is one extra step compared to dropping a plastic bag in the bin. The next one is the closet under your stairs, and the leftover tube of Christmas wrap standing in the corner, and the drawer of flat-folded gift bags saved from previous birthdays, and the roll of curling ribbon rolling around at the bottom of it. This is the only category of product in the entire American household that is purchased specifically so that another person can tear it apart and throw it away. And once you actually hear the sentence out loud, it becomes almost impossible to buy a roll of wrapping paper the same way again. The average American household spends somewhere between $50 and $150 a year on gift wrap, gift bags, tissue paper, and ribbon, all of which ends up in the trash within about 30 seconds of the recipient touching it. A Japanese household tends to wrap gifts in a single square of cloth called a furoshiki, which wraps a book, a bottle of wine, a bakery box, and a birthday present in turn, and then comes back for the next occasion. One piece of cloth handles objects of 3 completely different shapes, which is why this is one of the most visually striking changes anyone can make in the house. The only caution is that some relatives will need a year to warm up to the idea of a cloth-wrapped present, so it helps to keep one roll of ordinary wrap in reserve for them. That is 9 things covered, and every one of them ends the moment your household stops refilling it. The last 3 are different, because they are about the moment an object breaks, and what a Japanese home does at that moment that an American home almost never does, which is where the real savings in this video start to add up over a lifetime. The 10th one is the shelf in your kitchen cabinet, and the bowl at the back of it with a small chip on the rim that you moved out of the daily rotation because you did not want to look at it. There is also the plate the kid dropped, the mug with a hairline crack that still holds coffee, and the ceramic dish from your wedding registry that has one small nick out of the edge and now sits behind the everyday plates that you bought to replace it. Replacement gets treated as easier and cheaper than repair, which is why an object in an American kitchen tends to become worthless the moment it becomes imperfect, and the household defaults to buying a new one instead of restoring the one it already owned. A Japanese approach to the same crack uses urushi lacquer, sometimes finished with a line of gold, in the practice known as kintsugi. Most modern Japanese homes do not personally repair every bowl this way, but the underlying idea that damage is part of the object's biography rather than the end of it runs through the whole culture. In the American home, the crack ended the object. In a Japanese home, the crack is often the reason the object is kept, and the only thing to know about the repair itself is that food-safe fixing requires the right materials, because cheap hardware store epoxies are not safe for anything you eat off. The next one is the laundry basket in the corner of your bedroom and the jeans with the small tear on the thigh sitting at the bottom of it, along with the sweater with the moth hole in the sleeve and the shirt with the popped seam under the arm. Every single one of those garments is still comfortable, still fitted, and still yours. But each one is one small hole away from the Goodwill bag in most American households, because the visible imperfection is treated as the end of the garment even when the rest of the fabric is completely fine. A Japanese approach to the same tear uses a stitching technique called sashiko, in which contrasting thread is used to reinforce the weakened area, and the repair is deliberately visible rather than hidden. The mended fabric ends up stronger than the original was, and the visible stitch is treated as a sign that the owner meant to keep the garment for the long term. This is a completely different idea from buying fewer fast fashion clothes in the first place, because it is about keeping the clothes you already own for years longer than the wardrobe around them. And the only caution is that sashiko is a small skill that takes a few evenings to learn, so the first repair is going to look like a first repair. The last one is the knife block on your counter, the fabric scissors in the sewing drawer, and the pruning shears in the shed. The chef's knife used to slice a tomato, and now it crushes it. The fabric scissors used to cut clean through cotton, and now they snag every thread. And the pruning shears used to clip a branch, and now they tear it. And in every single case, the American default is to buy a new one from Amazon instead of restoring the edge on the one you already own. The steel underneath every one of those tools is still perfect, because only the edge has worn down, and the edge is renewable. A Japanese kitchen tends to keep a water whetstone called a toishi in a drawer, along with a 10-minute weekly ritual of drawing an edge back onto whatever needs it. And Japanese blade, making culture from Sakai and Seki and Tsubami Sanjo, treats the edge of a blade as something to be maintained rather than replaced. The same principle covers your scissors, your chisels, and your garden shears. The most important thing a Japanese household buys once is the tool that stops every other tool in the house from becoming disposable, which is what a whetstone is. A small stone on the kitchen counter that cancels the next 20 replacement purchases before any of them has to happen. And the only caution is that the first knife you sharpen will teach you more than the second one, so give yourself the time to be slow the first time. Every single one of these 12 things comes down to two ideas working together. The first 9 were sold to you cheaply on purpose. The mop, the razor, the coffee machine, the duster, the little unit that plugs into the wall, because the handle was never the product. The refill was the product, and the refill was where the money lived. The last 3 were about a different move entirely. The moment an object cracks, tears, or dulls, and the American default of throwing it out instead of restoring it. Put together, they're not 12 separate problems in your household. They're 2 business models showing up in 12 different aisles of your life. And the way a Japanese home shuts both of them down is by owning things that can be washed, recharged, sharpened, or repaired. So the sale ends on the day the object comes into the house and never begins again. If this video was useful, share it with someone who needs to see this, and hit the subscribe button so you catch the next one. And click the video appearing on your screen right now. I think you will like it. Till next time.